All right. Okay. Hey, let's go. Hi, everybody. Aaron from Solace here, back with you for yet another Solace Office Hours. It is episode 55. I can hear my people in the background clearing their throats and stuff like that. I'm going to bring them out here in just a second. It is December 11th, 2025. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and the Solace community. And today we have a pretty big announcement, something that we've been working on for quite some time. It is our Solace Agent Mesh. It has finally gone GA, the enterprise version. The community version has been out for some time. But I got a couple experts here to help me talk about them. I'm going to bring them on. Tamimi and Matt. Hey, guys. Hello.
Hey, Aaron. Good to be here. It's been a while since I've joined one of your office hours.
Thank you for
famous office hours.
Thank you for having us. The famous, yeah, they're so famous. So for the people out there, why don't you kind of introduce yourself, say who you are and what you do.
Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, Matt Mays. I'm a principal product manager for Solace Agent Mesh. So I've been at Solace about 1.5 years now. And I'm excited to be here.
Excited to have you.
Great. My name is Tamimi. I'm a senior AI developer advocate here at Solace, and I'm coming close to my 6 years right now.
Holy crap! Seriously.
I know, right? Yeah.
Good for you.
It's time passes by pretty fast when you're having a great time. Over the past year, I've been heavily focused with our Solace Agent Mesh involvement, developer enablement, kind of like figuring out what's the best and cool way to showcase Solace Agent Mesh in what we do. So I'm pretty excited to be here today with Matt to talk about Solace Agent Mesh Enterprise.
Awesome. So everybody, we are live. This is not pre-recorded. So if you're listening to us right now, we are hoping that you give us some questions in the chat. But say hello. Where are you joining us from? Matt, where are you based? Where are you physically right now?
I am in lovely San Leandro, California, just across the bay from San Francisco.
All right, Tamimi?
I'm in lovely Vancouver, Canada,
both
West Coast, Pacific time zone.
All right, so it's early for you guys. I am in Toronto right now. If you're out there, say hello, put it in the chat, say where you're joining us from. Nick, always happy to hear from him. And then Nick Ferry's in Blue Ridge Mountains, Georgia. All right, Sam Enterprise. That's why we're here. That's what we're going to talk about. So if you're out there, put it in the chat, say hello. And if you have some questions, that's what we're here to answer. So, we got another one there. Hello from Paris, FlyY971. Welcome.
Hello, FlyY971.
Or Fly. I don't know.
Fly971. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. Salut. Bonjour. Okay, so Matt, I think we're going to start with a bit of slides. Tamimi is going to jump in with some demos a little bit later. So, shall we go ahead and add your screen to the
let's do it.
All right. Yep. We can see that. Excellent. Well,
okay.
Take it away.
I will. Thank you very much. So I'm going to do a few things here. First, I want to start with a quick introduction to Agent Mesh. I will point out the beginning, the official name is Solace Agent Mesh, but often we use Sam as a sort of nickname. So even here, I violated marketing guidelines and said Sam. But usually we do just call this Agent Mesh, but we refer to it as Sam. It's sort of a great nickname that we like using. Latest GA features. I'll talk about our exciting GA release and some of the different things that are involved there, and then I'll talk about what's coming early next year, which we've got some exciting stuff coming. It's practically tomorrow, the end early next year, so coming very soon, and I'll talk about that.
We got early Christmas gifts.
Stick around to the end to see that. So, a couple more shout outs. Changda in Toronto. Hello. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. And Grov, hello from Ottawa, Solace headquarters in the backyard. Matt, I'm going to be interrupting you all the time, so just get used to it.
Totally fine.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. So just an introduction to how we see Agent Mesh fitting into the full sort of ecosystem of Solace. So the Solace platform is used by many of the world's leading enterprises. You can see here at the bottom some of the logos. We're a very global company too, so some agentic frameworks. You're going to see a lot of more regional logos there, but we're working with a lot of companies all over the world. So that's pretty exciting. But we kind of see it as 3 layers. There's the application services, event mesh, and the platform services. So we're going to talk a lot about event mesh today, but agent mesh, but we're also going to talk a lot about the event mesh because agent mesh is an application layer, but it is built and very much integrated with the event mesh. Everything you're going to see today is based on event-driven architecture principles and highly scalable, which is one of the big advantages of SAM. I think I've been on this this show with Andrew before for microintegrations.
I think that was the last time, yeah.
Yep, that's also a part of application services, and through various microintegrations, APIs, etc. We can integrate with a lot of different systems, and that's really important when you start talking about agentic AI because context is king, and you really need to reach out to these systems, and we'll be seeing how we do that.
Tap into that to that flow of data.
Yep. So why would you use Solace Agent Mesh for agentic AI? There's a lot of different platforms and solutions out there. So we find with Solace Agent Mesh, it's really easy to experiment and build. You can do both pro code and no code agents with Agent Builder. So we equally support both of those types of use cases. You're going to see an example of the no code agent building demo coming up. We have a lot of pre-built and extensible gateways. I'll talk about the different components here in a second. Connectors, tool sets, and we allow dynamic agent discovery and orchestration. So SAM doesn't live in a silo. It can interact with a lot of different agentic frameworks and agents that are living in other places and connect as a sort of orchestration framework, almost meta orchestration framework across all your different agentic frameworks.
And Matt, a quick comment on that. Like you mentioned about kind of like dynamic agent discovery. So last week I was at reInvent, AWS reInvent, and there was big discussions, a lot of talks about kind of the whole idea of agent onboarding experience. Like the idea of you have an environment of whatever agentic framework that you do. How do you onboard a new agent? What's the process like? And you mentioned something very interesting, and it's worth honing down on is the idea of the dynamic agent discovery, because as you mentioned, Solace Agent Mesh is built on an event-driven architecture, is built on event mesh. The agent onboarding process is pretty seamless and pretty kind of like efficient, where you can have an agent that could show up and just publish its registration, and then the whole infrastructure, the whole system, the orchestrator just subscribes to these registration messages. So again, kind of if we think of, this is not a new topic, this is not a new kind of idea, because we learned from all the development and evolutions of microservices with how do you scale up a microservice architecture, and having microservices come up and down with just publishing into the event mesh. And similarly, agent mesh takes a similar concept to this. So I wanted to kind of hone down on that idea when you mentioned the dynamic agent discovery and orchestration, Matt, on that front. So yeah, back to you.
Great. Yeah, good points. So another big emphasis for us with Agent Mesh is we're production ready. Solace has a lot of experience in very resilient, high availability systems, and we're building SAM based on those principles. So that includes enterprise class security integration and observability. So you can establish trust. You can explain what's going on behind the scenes, which is very important with agentic frameworks because they are non-deterministic, and you have to have evals and other things to make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to do. And sometimes you need to go back and look to see why it made certain decisions. Mm-hmm. And we're built on the event mesh, which means we have a resilient and parallel broker business. So when you spin up SAM, actually, and this is something that a lot of people are surprised by, and pleasantly, is like we actually create all those different topics and the sort of event-driven framework in the broker in a specific namespace for you for SAM. So you don't have to worry about setting up all those topics, and and subscriptions manually. We do that automatically as part of the initialization process. If you're running, self-managed with Enterprise, we'll talk about the different flavors here in a second. But we're also doing that, of course, in the cloud. You can leverage our cloud brokers, and we're going to set all that up for you, and you can feel comfortable. We're doing that in a way that's going to scale in a very significant fashion from day one.
I have a random question. It's probably I maybe should have asked this before, but is the topic space configurable? I mean, can you change the topics that the SAM uses?
Currently, the topics are determined by SAM itself.
Right. Yep.
That's something we can certainly look at, but it is sort of managed by SAM directly.
But obviously, this concept of a well-known topic for yep.
And the thing with this, Aaron, I know like you mentioned about kind of topics. Matt mentioned about the underlying event-driven architecture is abstracted from SAM. So all the topic structure, the hierarchy on how agents, components, publish, subscribe to is pre-baked there because we wanted to follow kind of like best practices for topic design. The one thing that is configurable is the root of the topic. So
that was the main thing.
The nice thing about kind of using smart topics like this is you can have multiple instances of SAM. They're all the components are using the same hierarchy, but they're all partitioned with different namespace or with different roots in there. So that is kind of the thing of we don't really need to partition different resources on the broker for different use cases. All we have to do is kind of the root of the topic would be changed, and then you are completely partitioned, logical partitions of our SAM instances. So good question. That's kind people tend to forget this about the kind of the smart topic underlying support for SAM.
And of course, the agents
and also can use
no topics, right? Like the agents are just they're talking their A to A protocols. They're talking their it's
A to A over EDA.
Right.
Awesome. The native way of speaking on the agent mesh. And also you can leverage all the security features of the broker too, ACLs, et cetera. So, that's really the really exciting stuff. So it's good we covered that. And then also an important part for us is intelligent data management. So we are, as you're interacting with these different models, you're doing sort of conversational analytics, we call it, with your data. We're going to be looking at that and summarizing it and storing it in memory and reusing it in a way that's going to be faster, it's going to be cheaper, and it's going to be more accurate. So we're trying to really optimize the use of the context windows of these models, which are getting bigger, but the sort of effective context window where it's doesn't start getting confused and is sort of at its peak performance, the models is actually smaller than the full context window. So we're really trying to optimize that, not just because of cost, but also it gives you the best results.
Probably quicker too.
Yep. So we're also sort of open and vendor neutral. So we have the community edition available. I'll go through the editions in a second. We support the major protocols. We've been a partner with A to A since May of this year. We also, of course, support MCP and have different ways of interacting with MCP servers, and try to be open in terms of how we access data sources and different tools. And then we allow deployment into any cloud via the standard Kubernetes APIs. So I think one of Solace's really big sort of advantages is we have a really large range of deployment options, whether it's self-managed, cloud. In the cloud, you can have dedicated regions, customer-controlled regions. We have a lot of different options there, and that gives the customers a lot of flexibility.
Cool.
So keep me honest on time here, but I don't spend too much time on this.
People have. I hope people have seen some of these slides before, but let's go through them quickly here.
Oop, I went a little too far. Okay, so these are the different components of SAM. You have the orchestrator. You can actually have multiple orchestrators. Some people call these super agents that are actually, coordinating different, say, business units or different sort of, areas like customer service or HR. You can have different sort of orchestrators for each of those. But that's the one that's actually going to coordinate all the different agents and gather results and present them to you in the chat, if you're using the chat-based interface. We have our sort of interfaces with the world. We call them gateways. So we have the standard sort of web UI gateway that we all kind of are used using or you're chatting, but there's a lot of different other gateways. We support, alternative chat gateways such as Slack and Teams. This is really important so you can get to your users where they are and meet them where they are. But we also allow interaction, through incoming REST APIs, webhooks, and have several different ways of interacting with SAM. Then, in terms of connecting to your data, we have a whole. We're starting to build a library of connectors. Those tend to be sort of more generic connectors. We're not trying to, come up with a page of 1,000 logos. We're trying to, with these tools, there are some sort of specific protocols and ways you can architect it where we can talk to several different things using the same connector. So we've created several different flavors of the SQL connector. We'll see in a second. We're very soon, early next year, going to release a remote MCP connector. We already have all of this available in the sort of community pro code version. But when we add it to connectors, that allows you to use an agent builder, which we'll see here in a second. Makes it really easy to create these with code. We have the visualizer. We'll see the agent builder in a second. And we also allow pro coding. And then, deploying is very important to us. How you deploy this, there's several different options here, whether it's self-managed or Kubernetes or cloud. We support all of those different solutions.
We have a comment here,
yeah.
Matt. I thought you were almost.
Please stop me.
There. Yeah, no, it's just kind of carrying on from what we were talking about just on the last slide there. Yeah, I believe the asynchronous nature of the event mesh is a big advantage over other frameworks. It's true async. He corrected himself to true on the next page. It's true async as the event mesh can truly bear the load. Yes, there are a lot of advantages to running these protocols and this type of architecture, distributed application over the event mesh, right? So queuing, pub sub, delivery, load handling, scalability.
For us, it was from the very day one.
Go ahead, Matt. Yeah.
Sorry. I was just saying from day one, when we, and Ed specifically, our chief AI officer, started building Agent Mesh, it was built on that framework. So it's not something we added later. It was from day one.
We've seen since day one that, this is just as distributed application architecture. Things need to communicate. And we've seen that with, as Tamimi was saying, microservices, kind of same kind of thing. And, they have to plugging yourself into a point-to-point kind of style of connections as your number of agents scales, as your number of applications scale, that kind of like level of complexity in terms of connections, monitoring, telemetry gets much more complicated. Scales quadratically. So,
one thing I wanted to mention as well that kind of like Matt highlighted on is how like all the inspiration that we got from event mesh we want to put into agent mesh, and partly as well another thing is the different form factors of Solace Agent Mesh deployment. So historically at Solace we have our event broker in different form factors. We got the hardware, software, and cloud. With Solace Agent Mesh, we are really putting a lot of effort into making sure that your deployment as well, if you want to do a cloud deployment or even a local deployment or a software deployment as well, there's that seamless interaction and integration between the two. So something that Matt highlighted on just a bit before is kind of we are really focusing on seeing how we want to have a very smooth integration of our Solace Agent Mesh deployment for our cloud deployments, and then this is something that Matt is gonna as well touch on. So that's that I really want to highlight this because it is a pretty cool thing that we're doing behind the scenes from an infrastructure and plumbing perspective.
Yeah, and just the sort of last thing on this slide is A2A and agents, agent to agent protocol.
Pretty important.
So we do have a component in SAM that we call the proxies, which allow you to set up these sort of teams of external agents, if you would like, and talk A2A across HTTP with those. But to the actual agent mesh and the orchestrator, they will appear as any other sort of native agents that was built in agent mesh. So we're spending quite a bit of time supporting that and getting a lot of interest from different customers and prospects about how we can interact other agentic frameworks, because we don't want to lock you into SAM. You're not going to if you start using SAM, we're not saying you have to build agents in SAM. Always, you're going to be able to bring in other agentic frameworks and interact with them too.
It'd be nice to be able to interact with SAM and have it be able to talk to. It can go and talk to these other frameworks, right?
Yeah. Yep, and that's it. Yeah, it'll you add a 8A agent via proxy, it's going to show up in your orchestrator. If you ask questions that agent is presented in its agent card, it's capable of helping out with, and the orchestrator is going to assign the work to that agent, and it's going to appear just like any other agent you could have built with Agent Builder, like we'll see here in a second.
All right, let's get to these enterprise features.
Yeah,
well,
so
not yet.
Well, yeah, well, I won't spend too much time on this. We do have our community edition, which is open source, available for everyone out there to clone and play with
on GitHub.
You don't even have to clone it; you just do a pip install and go to town. And that's been available since February. It actually is the core of our enterprise, so it is a very active project at the moment. Solace contributing a lot. Then with enterprise, this is our sort of self-managed, commercial supported offering. So big feature of this is you're going to get the sort of world-class Solace support. Our customers love Solace support. And this is going to be, if you really want it, if you're a Fortune 2000 company and you want to put this in production, you're going to need enterprise. And there are some features that are specific to enterprise we'll talk about. And then we're in the process of moving to cloud, and we've architected all of this in the way where these aren't separate code bases. This is a gradual progression. So community is used in enterprise, and cloud is actually used in enterprise. So, but it comes with all the extra stuff, self-managed and SaaS that you don't have to worry about if you go cloud in terms of the infrastructure. So we're releasing this. It's pretty exciting. In a few minutes, it'll probably be one of the first times that we've publicly shown our sort of internal experimental version of SAM Cloud, but that's going to be going CA, controlled availability early next year. So certain select customers will be able to deploy, and then we're looking to go GA later into the year. So really excited about cloud.
Matt,
so now
a couple quick questions before we get that. I got something, JC here. I can't actually click on this link. It's just showing up as standard text here, but obviously referencing an article about OpenAI, Anthropic, and Block join a new Linux foundation to help standardize. I haven't heard about that. Have Tamimi, Matt, have you aware of this?
I believe this is where they donated agents.md to the foundation.
Okay.
I think it's really exciting. I mean, one of my favorite things about Solace is we're not just sort of building this AI product as kind of a side thing and not, internally ban all AI tools. We're actually a very sort of AI first company, and pretty much everybody, especially in development, is using these tools, looking at other tools. I think it's great. I think it's I think any sort of standardization of these types of tools is helpful. We're actually looking right now at how to use things like Agents MD to make it easier to vibe code if you want to contribute to Solace community, or vibe code your SAM project Procode. So let's say you just want to build a quick agent. We're making our Context 7 interaction better, so you can do that. So I think it's great.
All right.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, I'm as well I read this announcement. I'm pretty excited about it as well, because that really highlights our commitment to standardization, our commitment as Solace as a whole, as an organization, to have a standardized way to communicate with agents. And Solace Agent Mesh is built with an agentic agnostic framework in mind, showing that you can really integrate with different agents in your system and use Solace Agent Mesh as the orchestration layer. So that is something that really resonates with how we have our kind of standardization commitment and connection to open standards and the community from that front. So thanks for raising this, JC.
JC put a couple more comments there. I'm not going to flash them up because they're a little bit long, but
I'll go ahead and read them.
Let's definitely read them afterwards. Yeah. And one more quick question here from Keith that's been sitting here. When will Solace be available for the EPC industry? Owners are already on the platform. I actually don't know what EPC industry is, so I was hopefully one of you two know. Tamimi's Googling it there in the background, I'm guessing.
I am. Yeah, I'm trying to see.
All right.
More than from like the procurement constructions. Yeah. So basically from the procurement and constructions industry in general, we've been in this industry, Solace, historically for have a bunch of different clients and customers. And, I always tell people in general when we're interacting with Solace Agent Mesh, regardless what industry you're in, with Solace Agent Mesh, it allows you to have access to your real-time data as well. So if your EPC industry is already, if you're in the EPC industry and you already have a real-time component, now you're adding a new opportunity for you to trigger agentic workflows. So we've always been talking about the conversational analytics use case of agentic AI. And there's also another use case, which is the event-triggered agentic AI. So that way, any events that is coming in your event mesh or in your business could trigger an agentic workflow, and that's also something that would work. I'm happy to delve into more details on kind of different use cases.
It could be related more to like it's like I'm looking at like pipelines, power stations, stuff like that. Oil and gas. Then we might be talking like more different protocols that like SCADA and things that Solace maybe doesn't support except through Edge Gateway. So it depends whether we're talking about event mesh, Solace brokers, or agent mesh. Great question, Keith. Come find us on the Solace community. Ask some questions. We got to keep going. We got to get this show on the road here. But thanks for the questions, and JC as well. All right, Matt. What are we? Okay. What have we announced? What's new?
So let's just hit the highlights of some of the new things we have in the recent GA release. We'll also be having our second GA release into GA. Should be coming out here pretty soon. But these are currently available in GA today. We have a pilots process that you can sign up for enterprise pilots. So you try this out if you register for a pilot. So agent builder and connectors. So this is what we're going to see here in a second with the demo. It's an interesting challenge when you sort of have a product that started as like an open source framework, like Agent Mesh, and now you're growing into a full platform, even into the SaaS offering. It's pretty exciting, and a big part of that is giving both technical and business users a way to easily create agents through a UX. So we've created a UI we call Agent Builder that allows sort of a form-based way to just really quickly, no code, create these agents that can be exposed even to business users. And we've sort of separated out some of the duties that you'll see here. So where the integration team can set up the connectors, and then the business users can just use those connectors that are already set up to create all kinds of agents without having to know anything about the plumbing of how it connects to those data sources. And then this allows those users to do a lot of use cases around what we call conversational analytics, talking with your data. There's a sort of proven ROI really in the agentic world around research use cases. So the ability to create an agent that, reaches out, you ask a question, it reaches out to a CRM system, finance system, different databases, consolidates that information and gives you a report. That saves a lot of time. And that's sort of a easy way to quantify the ROI. And then, we did add the Microsoft Teams Gateway. It's a very common platform that people have out there. We internally use Slack, but there's a lot of companies out there use Teams. It's also a great tool, so you can meet your users where they are and have them interact with Sam and chat with agents directly in Teams.
And just yesterday, I didn't even know, but we've been using our Solace chat, which is based on Sam on Slack for months and months and months. And now there's a Teams chat option. So not that I use Teams for chatting very much. I use it for video conferencing, but maybe out there you're using Teams. So. Yep.
And we, to your point, we do a lot of dog fooding in with Sam internally. We have our internal tool called Solace Chat, which is based on Agent Mesh, and we have many Solace employees use that every day to use it a lot their work. So
cool.
Agent to agent. So we see both while building agents in SAM is important. We also want to be a platform for real-time orchestration of any agent on any platform running anywhere. So we do that through A to A. Even internally with native agents, we're using A to A across an event-driven architecture in the brokers. But we also support reaching out to external endpoints to register those and then be treated as a full class citizen of the mesh. And we have full support of the .3 protocol. On top of that EDA, and we'll evolve. It's still not even 1.0 yet, this protocol, but we plan to evolve SAM with that and upgrade that on a regular basis. Security and governance. This is obviously a really important topic for enterprises. We're doing a lot of work here, both in terms of interacting with your identity provider, so you have a single sign-on into SAM. But a really sort of exciting feature we released with GA was the ability to, with remote MCP servers initially, you'll be able to go through the OAuth flow, actually be authenticated. You can be using the chat, say I want to use this agent. It says, oh, this is the Atlassian agent, for example, for Jira or Confluence. It'll put you through the OAuth flow where you authorize certain scopes for that endpoint, and then you'll be able to interact in that agent with Jira or Confluence, and it will show in Jira and Confluence that it's not a service account; it's actually being done by you. We're looking at additional sort of we're almost ahead of the curve in terms of adoption of some of these protocols and standards, but there is sort of some of the newer standards have what's called an actor token that will allow you to even specifically say, this was done by an agent on behalf of Matt Mays, not just done by Matt Mays.
Aaron's chatbot edited this comment or something.
Yeah. So, as these things become more autonomous and event driven and you're making updates at, 3 in the morning, it's important to see that difference between when it was actually Matt Mays and when it was Matt Mays. So we're starting to do some research on this. So that's a pretty exciting feature. I did see a question about what identity providers.
I was just going to let you get to the end of these four. Yeah.
Okay.
But if you want to do the identities provider one right now, you can just mention.
Yeah.
that.
So right now we're testing on Intra ID. We also have a internal one we use, Bamboo. Those are available today. I believe we're doing some additional testing now to sort of officially support OIDC. So any that form that standard, but we do sort of test and support today Intra ID, which is a very common cloud version of Active Directory. So but this is something we're constantly adding support for. And then there we have Solace Cloud. So as I mentioned, we'll get the first sort of public view of that today. And then this allows you to create sort of fully managed instances of your of agent mesh. You can have several agent meshes. This will be available in all the different regions that we support. And then we've taken what we've learned. Of course, as a company, we use Kubernetes to manage our sort of online estate, cloud estate. But we've taken a lot of those lessons and expertise and actually made that available in the enterprise self-managed option. So a lot of self-managed customers want to, of course, deploy agent mesh into a Kubernetes cluster and manage just like they do anything else in their estate. And we've taken, we publish some Helm charts and standard ways of doing that to help people get up and running. So
awesome.
Yep.
Lots of questions coming in here while we're going through these big released notes here. But Matt, let me just quickly flash up a few. Gaurav is wondering if we see a day where we actually might host a marketplace or catalog of agents similar to our connector hub, I guess, for micro integrations from Solace community or from the Solace property.
Yeah, you will see. Yeah, you will see in community we do have
Sorry, my phone's just ringing.
We do have a plugin directory. So Agent Mesh has its own sort of packaging system called plugins. Those are actually in a public repo that are open source. Also, we do have a ability to pull from that and show a catalog of agents and install those plugins. So it does exist in some fashion today. We haven't fully brought that into enterprise and made that to where you can have your own enterprise repository and
Okay.
with a nice GUI and all that. But there is something there today.
JC was also wondering what models underpin Solace Chat. I mean, we support a lot of different types of models, right? But specifically what Solace Chat uses, do we know?
Yeah, exactly. We're kind of a bring your own key, sort of set up your model type environment, because these things are going to evolve, and there's this constant rotation of like, well, today, I guess Google is the king. And then, the next day Anthropic, and then OpenAI goes code red and comes out with something awesome any day now. Like, this stuff is constantly evolving. And we don't want to sort of put ourselves firmly in any of those camps. So we just use, standard, light LLM based integrations to talk to all those different models. And you can even use local models and open source, and those are getting better and better and more effective at tool use. So there is no specific. We support a lot of different models, and then we give you evals and stuff so you can test yourself and see how SAM performs with each of them.
Right. The modular design of SAM allows you to kind of like choose whatever model you want to use internally. And the nice thing about this is, like, if you have an orchestrator agent and multiple different agents that does different functionalities, you can even configure your Solace Agent Mesh to use different models for different agents or for different behaviors. So we do have like a planning model to like plan your different a way to define your planning model to plan the agentic orchestration, but also it's up to you to choose. And to Matt's point earlier, with our embedded integrated evals functionality or evals features, you can try different kind of models and evaluate the performance of your system.
Cool.
Yeah,
there are some other questions and comments, but I really want to keep. I want to get to the demo. We've been doing a lot of slides. Matt, do you have anything else before we switch gears here?
No, that's it. Let's get to some demos.
That's it. Okay. So Tamimi, I'm going to go ahead and share your screen in just a second here.
Fantastic.
Remove
Thanks,
that.
Matt, for that presentation and for kind of giving an overview on the different things that we have for Solace Agent Mesh. Awesome.
And for those
Aaron,
who've left comments and
do the
questions,
demo.
if we do have time towards the end, we will get to them. Otherwise, hit us up on LinkedIn or head over to the Solace community URL down at the bottom to keep the conversation going there. But we want to get to these demos, make sure that we get them in before our hour is up. So Tamimi,
fantastic.
Take
it
away.
Right, so I'm gonna go ahead with the live demo. And Aaron, you know what they say about live demos?
You know what they say about live demos? Don't do them. If something doesn't go, something has to go wrong. Otherwise, people will think this is all canned.
Nah, it's maybe I canned something too in there. So okay, I'm gonna go ahead and kickstart this. So what you're seeing here, for those who are aware of the Solace Cloud platform, this is our typical Solace Cloud platform. We've added the ability to interact with Solace Agent Mesh directly through Solace Cloud. So as Matt mentioned earlier, we have different form factors of Solace Agent Mesh. You can spin up a Solace Agent Mesh locally on your machine with the Community Edition directly from pip. We have an Enterprise Edition with support for Kubernetes and Helm chart.
Whoop. Tamimi paused.
Live demo. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Live demo. Oh, he's back.
You lose me?
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, you're back. Yeah.
Okay. Because I saw a glitch and then now it's back. So basically, for those out there that want to use a cloud-hosted solution that is Solace managed, we have allowed this functionality, and it's in beta coming out soon. Basically, to allow you to spin up a Solace Agent Mesh instance directly from cloud. So you can see here right now we have our different new tab for the Agent Mesh Manager.
Cool.
And through the Agent Mesh Manager, you can go ahead and create an Agent Mesh. I've already created an Agent Mesh, but what I want to show you here as well, like the ability to create an Agent Mesh, you configure it with the name, description, and to JC's question earlier, you could put the endpoint, the API endpoint that you want for your LLM model and choose the planning model that you want to use. Now, obviously, this is the cloud version, and we will be continuously improving and adding more functionalities and features. Everything that you see here, you could still do it on your own as well if you want to manage your own.
Is this available right now? Like if I log into my cloud account, am I going to have that button, or are you rolling this out slowly across different types of accounts first?
Matt,
so to that dog fooding point I brought up earlier, like this is experimental.
Yeah.
So we're using it a lot internally right now. But at the end of January, we're looking to go CA, so it would be available to select customers.
Yeah. So for those who are interested, who are watching this and would be, would be interested to, curious to kind of get their hands on this, feel free to get in touch with us.
Cloud and want to try the
Yeah, if you're using Solace Cloud and you want to try this, please get in touch with us. We'll be more than happy to kind of see what we could do with this. But here you go. I've created my own agent mesh, and what I'm going to do is in the settings of the agent mesh. So this is kind of very familiar for kind of the Solace Cloud environment. You can see all the different information, but I'm not going to delve directly into this right now. I'm going to go ahead and open my Solace Agent Mesh right away. So as you can see here, I'm first prompted with a login page. So again, this highlights the capabilities of RBAC and authorization directly within Solace Agent Mesh. When you spin up a Solace Agent Mesh, you are given two users. You have an admin user, and then you have a user with their own kind of like username and password. What I'm going to do is I've already logged in with my admin credentials directly in here. So I am logged in right now to my Solace Agent Mesh instance with my admin users.
Yeah, and as part of the CA release, we're working on the sort of full SSO support. This is just sort of a thing specific to experimental, where we have these two types of users.
Right.
Also, in terms of your model, we made it for experimental, where you just sort of set up the model up front and it uses that model for everything. But as we go into CA, you'll be able to configure your models. You can create different models. Different agents can use different models based on the cost profile or the capabilities. That'll all be much more flexible once we go CA.
All right. So we can see here, I don't have any agents other than the orchestrated agent, which comes out of the box, and no other agents in here. And even like when I go ahead and interact with this, I can just say like hi, whatever, and this kind of like behind the scenes interacts with the model that I've already configured into my system. So at least like right now, we can see that we have an instance of Solace Agent Mesh. And what I want to showcase right now is our connectors and agent builder capabilities. So what I have behind the scenes is I created a Postgres database on Supabase. You can see here, if I delve more into my database, it's kind of like a fictional company that has different tables on customers, employees, inventories, stores. So this is a like global retail company that has a database filled with hundreds and thousands of records on kind of performance of employees and products that we have in our system. So what I'm kind of wanting to demo here, so let's say that you are already having this database of yours, and you want to create an agent that has access to this database so you can interact with it in your system. All right. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to go ahead to the connectors and see what are the connectors that are currently available. To Matt's point earlier, we're going to be continuously building and fleshing out the different connectors type. But for now, I want to go ahead and create a Postgres database. And pause me here, Aaron, if you have any questions, or Matt, if you have any particular.
Not yet. I will though.
All right. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create my connector. So the first thing I want to do in my connector name, this is my Acme retail database. The description is like whatever description you want to put for this. So I'm saying here this connector will be able to have access to my Acme retail database that has information about all this information. So the configuration for the connector, I'm going to go ahead and connect to my database. So this is all kind of the configuration options that you have. So it's the database is called Postgres. I'm going to go ahead and take this. This is the host. And this is my username to connect to my database.
Is it JDBC or something? Like what's...
Yeah, so behind the scenes, this is a Postgres. Postgres database that uses SQL to connect to your database. So I am putting this configuration. So the connector itself that is cloud hosted right now that you're seeing within Solace Agent Mesh has that configuration to connect to your SQL database. So I have
we are using
database hosted.
We are using SQL Alchemy behind the scenes.
Oh, that's going too. Maybe it's just me. All right, keep going.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can. Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So, we're using SQL Alchemy behind the scenes, which sort of allows you to talk to several different dialects of databases right now. We support the MySQL and Postgres, but, it also has support for Oracle, MySQL that you can set up, and we're on the pro code version, and we're adding the official support for that on connectors is on the roadmap.
Right. And Matt, when you mentioned kind of like down the roadmap adding other supports for connectors, it will be part of the connector repository that we have in here.
Yeah, exactly. And this, connectors are kind of our agent builder GUI no code version of on the pro code side are called tools.
Okay, perfect. So Matt, you can see here, created my connector. So the next thing that I want to do is, now that I have a connector option, and there's the rationale behind separating the connectors to agents is, at the end of the day, in your organization, you might have different personas. Some persona might be responsible for creating all the connections to your data sources. And then you have another persona or another user that would be creating the agents. And Matt, if you want to add any comments about the different personas that handle, feel free to do so. But I will go ahead and go through the creating agent flow over here.
Yeah, so you can see that maybe the integration team created that that connector, and then someone in a specific business unit that wants to create agents for their team now can just use that connector, as we'll see in the agents.
Exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and create an agent. So you can see here, there's a way where I can create an agent. And the first thing that pops up here is a dialogue that kind of tells you, like, if you want to put in natural language what this agent does. So this gives us two options. You can create an agent manually, and you go through the steps. You define what the agent instructions is all about, the prompts, system prompts for that agents, the tools it has access to, or we've added the ability to generate the agent configuration that you want. So what I'm showing here right now is I want to create an agent that connects to my Acme retail database, and the agent answers questions about all the different information. I don't really need to delve into a lot of details about what the agent will have to do, as long as I say the agent connects to my Acme retail database. So you can see here, I did not explicitly specify that this agent needs to connect to my PostgreSQL database connector. I just said that, hey, like, I have a database. As Matt mentioned, there's different personas. What if I am the agent pro code builder persona? I don't know what the connector team, the integration team, has the connector's name. All I know is kind of like a database for my so I'm going to go ahead
also
and
this, sorry, just 1 second, to Mimi, this is our AI assistant pattern is something we're adopting more and more, both in Agent Mesh and across Solace, because it does kind of solve the blank page problem that you talk a lot about in enterprise applications, where it's very intimidating when you launch a tool and there's just nothing there and you have to build everything from scratch. AI is kind of a great solution to that problem, and then you sort of prompt it like, I want to do this, and it might not get it completely right the first time, but it's going to do a lot of work for you and give you a lot of ideas, and often overachieves and does things that you didn't even expect but are great ideas. And we're really finding this a very effective tool, and you can bypass it if you don't want to use it, but it does give some good suggestions.
Matt, you mentioned a good point about kind of the blank page problem. So like here, I just described what I wanted to do, and it provided me with a non-blank page of my agent description. So yes, it pre-populated the instructions, but it gives me the ability, if I want to go ahead and edit what the instructions have to do, it will go ahead and do this. But you can see here, it went through and created a set of instructions for my agents, and generated AI generated kind of like a set of tools and skills for that particular agents. So we mentioned earlier, every agent has kind of the agent anatomy. I put a blog post out there that's kind of self-promoting about the agent anatomy with Solace Agent Mesh, and it talks about what are the different sections. You have the details of the agents. You have the instructions, which acts as a system instruction for prompts for your agents. Then you've got a list of tools. This is kind of the functionalities that the agent has access to. So you can see this particular agent has access to 2 tool sets. And whether it's the data analysis tool set and then the artifact management, Matt mentioned earlier within the Solace Agent Mesh framework overall, there's other functionalities that you can leverage, including an artifact management functionalities. Matt, do you have any particular comments about tool sets that you want to highlight?
Yeah, tool sets are just sort of our groupings of internal tools. If you go down to pro code, you'll see these can be much more granular. But to make it simple in Agent Builder, we sort of consolidated a lot of tools and called them tool sets. We consolidated some of the tools that allow you to reach out to different endpoints, and we call those connectors. The main difference being, tool sets are kind of like internal, skills that are provided by Solace that you can add to your agent. Connectors are reaching out to those specific ends, integrating with your data sources.
So you can see here, I have my SQL connector, and then the agent card. This is, we're following the A2A specification. There's an agent card and the description of the agent in the agent card, and then the list of skills that this agent has. If I want kind of like other skills to be exposed for this agent, I can simply go ahead and add a particular skill in here. So this agent has 3 separate skills. It's the artifact management, data analysis, and query my Postgres database. I'm going to keep it as is for default and go ahead with the creation process of my agent. So behind the scenes, since everything is kind of driven by our Kubernetes integrations and it's being deployed and the deployment, so you can see I've created the agent. I'm going to go ahead and deploy this, and I'll wait here just a little bit for it while it deploys.
I've never seen.
Aaron,
is that skills things new? It makes me think of Napoleon Dynamite. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that movie, but there's different skills that you could have. I wonder if there's an agent that could be like computer hacking, nunchucks.
That's all the skills that the agent is capable of.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Or it's like the Matrix.
Is that part of A2A? Like this?
So it is, yeah. So the skills section, like, is part of the agent card where you define the agent and the skills that this agent is capable of doing. Maybe we should do like a Napoleon Dynamite blog post on that front.
Yeah, and agent cards are mandatory in the A2A spec.
I know about agent cards. Yeah, it exposes what they can do and all that stuff. It's just like that kind of like grouping of skills. Is that is that a standard thing, or is that kind of just?
It's an A2A standard that we follow from the agent definition.
All right.
So now you see like the agents being deployed behind the scenes. It's all cloud managed, and eventually once we get the interaction with our Solace Agent Mesh, we're going to be able to discover all these agents. So one thing I really want to point out here that I did not need to take down my overall Solace Agent Mesh instance to add a new agent. So this is like key to this. Behind the scenes, what's happening is a new pod is being spun up for this agent to be deployed on. This agent will connect to the Solace broker instance that my Solace Agent Mesh is connected to, and simply publishes registration messages and say like, hey, I am available. This is what I'm capable of doing. So you can see here right now, I have this in here saying like, hey, I am here. I am my Acme Retail Intelligence Agent that act as a central intelligence system for my global operations. So nice.
It didn't used to be like that. Like a year ago, I'm pretty sure you had to restart SAM if you wanted to add a new agent to it. So a long time ago.
Yeah, so before that was kind of like when we had the early days of Solace Agent Mesh, where you gotta like build SAM. But right now, like, it's just kind of like like SAM is running, and then you could simply add instances in there.
Yeah, so we actually added a specific component called the deployer, because again, it's sort of in our DNA at Solace to support many different deployment methods. We did create a component called the deployer, which sort of abstracts out a lot of that to SAM. So SAM doesn't care if it's deploying to Kubernetes, if it's running just as just locally, or if it's running in Docker, all that. And while Kubernetes is the sort of official enterprise supported deployment solution, you can also deploy it in other ways, and that sort of deployer mechanism is abstracted that out to SAM, and will handle the way those agents are deployed and undeployed based on the environment that it's in.
Right.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the deployer as well, Matt, there as well, because it definitely, the idea of like abstracting your end kind of the deploying environment. So now that I've added this agent, I've added the capability of talking to my underlying data. So you can see here, I'm simply asking, what are my top 10 best-selling products by revenue this quarter? So you can see here it goes through, because it's all randomly generated, my licensed cotton bacon laptops are my top performing products. Obviously, this is all like, there's a lot of fake data behind.
That's pretty wacky.
All right, so I don't know what's going to, but it's giving us like some information about my particular products in there, and then simply like, you could go ahead and interact with your data, generate different reports, generate different kind of analysis, all directly through your agent. And I really like showing this particular use case because now here we're augmenting the agent to use built-in tools within Solace Agent Mesh. So even though I'm putting in this prompt to create an HTML report, so then my analysis over here like fully understands that, all right, I'm gonna first go ahead and query the information from my database and use internal tools to analyze this data, and then use also internal tools to generate HTML reports. While this is still kind of like cooking behind the scenes, I want to highlight kind of some of the things what's going on. So first is, yes, the request comes in, it gets delegated to the agent of choice, and behind the scenes it goes and queries the information from the database that we have, because we've already defined in the connector how this agent is going to connect to the database, and this agent has a particular skills for querying information from the database. So this is where the skill set comes in. So the prompt analyzes or understand that, all right, well, I have an agent that has a querying of the database skill to it. I'm going to delegate this prompt to this agent and query this database. And there's a tool set, this agent has capability of doing data analysis. So this is as well built in within the agent using built-in tools, which goes and queries information directly and then analyzes it. So as we go through, we're definitely kind of like analyzing the information. So you can see here behind the scenes, the HTML report is being generated.
Who's building the HTML? Is it the orchestrator building the HTML report? I figured you would have had an HTML agent or something, or a report agent or something.
Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned this. We don't need to have a dedicated agent for creating HTML report, because this is a functionality of the agent that is part of the tool set that this agent has access to. So if I go back to my agent and look at my Acme Retail agent, this agent has a data analysis tool set. And this is some built-in tool within the Solace Agent Mesh that has access to functionalities and behaviors that does HTML analysis reporting. So
okay, they're tool sets.
This means
tool sets.
It is a tool set. So we're extending the functionality of the agent to different tools that we have. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And nothing is stopping you from creating an agent that is dedicated to creating reports. That is, if you have a particular kind of requirements or specifications on how reports are being generated in your organization, you could definitely do such a thing. So we can see here, because we have a lot of data into my database, the Solace Agent Mesh framework or instance itself allows for breaking down the tasks or breaking down the prompts and connecting all the different prompts together so that we generate the final outcome. Something that you can see here in the files, we see that we have our internal artifact management, where every time you go query information from your database, we create some artifacts that could be leveraged and used down the road by other prompts. So this is also another part of the generation process. And lo and behold, right now here, we created an HTML report that has information about what the prompt that I did. So I can see here, this is my total revenue for the information that I have. And actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to download this HTML.
You know what I did? I actually took from our internal hub, I took our brand book that marketing has with all of our logos and all of our colors, and I uploaded it into SAM. And I said, when you generate reports, use this instead. And then it started generating very Solace looking PDFs and HTML
amazing
reports. Yeah, it was very cool. It was and it analyzed it. It's like, all right, these are the fonts you use and these are the colors you use, which I thought was kind of neat. So
that's actually pretty neat, because you could even though here all the HTML reporting it does not depend on a particular kind of asset, but if you give it some things, maybe it will generate this report based on a particular branding that you want. So so you can see here more information just kind of got generated. We got our top performers, does kind of employee ranking, all this based from the data that got queried from our database. And then there was an analysis done on that database. You can see here my Acme Retail spans over 5 different regions, does analysis per region. If I go kind of at different positions, it gives me more information about my data. And just by looking at this, now I have an understanding of what my organization, global organization's performance is like by just simply chatting with my data. And I've delegated that to a database agent. Now, if you think of I was able to get all this information from one agent that has access to one database. What if I also have an agent that is also connected to my CRM system, to my internal customer documentation, to my external community forum, to kind of give more information and aggregate all that information from different resources? And then the orchestrator on its own will be able to kind of aggregate this responses. So you can see here, all I did was, if I go back to my chats and look at my workflow, we've interacted with one agent. The orchestrator has the capability to do parallel calling if you have multiple agents into your system, and you can simply connect all the different agents in your system, and then have a swarm of agents that are working for you over here.
And that's how we use Solace and SAM internally, right? I mean, it's talking to Jira, it's talking to our RT, it's talking to Salesforce, it's talking to a ton of different stuff, and it can go and grab, and our documentation. And it can go and grab information from all. I'm very aware of the time, gentlemen. Yes, there was a few good questions, and we do have one last slide from Matt. Tamimi, I mean, we saw how very easy it is to build a database integration. JC was wondering about other connectors. Not yet, coming soon. We do have micro integrations for these, but into SAM, not quite yet, as Matt put in the chat there. Just wanted to flash that up. Quick question besides database, what other agents can we integrate with? Anything that supports
and we'll also be adding remote MCP and REST API.
Very
shortly.
Yep. We didn't get a chance to see the SSO thing, but yeah, we talked about, like, you can query and say, hey, if it's already talking to your HR system, you could say, hey, who's my manager? Who's my team? And it'll actually go off and pretend it's you and be fully validated. Tamimi, is there anything else you want to show before we give it back to Matt for just a minute?
I think that's kind of the last thing I wanted to show, is the ability to create agents using agent builders. You've got the connectors in there to easily generate endpoints, and the sky's the limit here from this perspective moving on.
All right, and if people want to try the community edition, I assume just either pip install or just head over to our GitHub repo, Solace Agent Mesh. And all the instructions are going to be there, right? So,
and then you can go ahead and start it as well. For whoever is watching, go to the GitHub repo and then start our repo there.
Excellent. All right, Matt,
Fantastic.
I'm going to switch back to you. Thanks, Tamimi.
Yep.
There we go. So let's wrap it up with some coming soon stuff for those who are super keen to get their hands on this enterprise version.
Yeah, so let's talk about some of the stuff that'll be coming here in the next couple months. So we're working a lot on research and development and building out what we call prescriptive workflows. We just call this workflows when it comes out. But this is a very popular request that because these are non-deterministic systems, the models are actually pretty good. If you say do 1, 2, 3, and 4, a lot of the more frontier models will do that are really good at tool calling, but customers want a little more assurance about that, a little more complex flows that are difficult to capture just in a prompt, and also be able to audit that it actually did that, and also ensure that data as it's going across is following certain standards. So
it feels like more traditional kind of automated workflows, right? Just like a pipeline. It's like, I like the dynamic nature of Solace Agent Mesh. It makes it very much like you can just talk to it and do anything, but we do get this request quite a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of a hybrid approach. I mean, we're never going to be like, there are a lot of tools out there that do this kind of thing. These workflows can get really complex, which is actually a bit of a problem. They can become very fragile. They're not very flexible. They can become enormous very quickly. We're kind of taking a hybrid approach. We definitely do want to lean on the models, but we need to give it a little more structure. So, we'll create, the ability to have sort of nodes and edges and the way to sort of, create these different workflows and define them in a pro code solution. We're also going to include schema validation. So, this is a very important part of this, that you can actually validate that the data coming in and out is the data that it's expecting, the models are expecting. And this adds a lot of predictability and reliability to the workflows. And these will appear as regular agents. So alongside your agents, you'll see workflows, and those agents, various agents, will be able to call the workflow, which will then handle calling other agents as you specify. So it's a lot more deterministic way, but it's also still using the intelligence of the model to synthesize all the different results and coordinate. Then we'll be adding additional connectors, like we had some questions about. We'll be adding a REST API connector, so you can upload a open API spec and connect to any remote API. We'll be adding a remote MCP connector, so you can quickly add a remote MCP. That'll also be linked in with our user-delegated access. So it'll be very easy to create an agent, add a remote MCP server, and go to town, authenticate it as you. Then in order to help out with more complex RAG solutions where you want to have, say, a bunch of documents in an S3 bucket that you want to ask questions against, or have your enterprise be able to ask questions about that, we'll be adding AWS Bedrock knowledge base integration. And as we go forward in the coming months, we'll be adding for other hyperscalers too, the ability to interact with their RAG solutions. Cool. Event-driven agents, obviously Solace is an expert at this, so we're really looking to showcase this. We talked quite a bit about it earlier, but we're actually, right now you can have event mesh gateways and REST API gateways in ProCode, but there's no sort of easy UI to set those up quickly and manage those. Obviously, we need that as we go to the cloud too. So we're spending time on building those and really showcasing the ability to integrate with your event-driven architecture and the event mesh in SAM, because we think that is really powerful. And then we're spending a lot of time on cloud. We're looking to go CA early next year. That's controlled availability, where it'll be available for concepts and customers. You saw a preview of cloud today. I think it was the first time we've showed SAM Cloud externally, so that was exciting. And then as we go into SAM Cloud, you're going to get all the different advantages of Solace Cloud in terms of how it integrates with SSO and RBAC and the IDP claims. We're adding a lot of functionality to that as we head towards CA. So we're really excited about cloud. We think a lot of our customers will offer the cloud option. So we're spending quite a bit of time and emphasizing.
For those that don't want to run it themselves, quick and easy, right? Just go log into your cloud console, deploy me some agents, and off you go. And you're just.
But enterprise is always going to be there, and it's a great option if you have various needs. Running local models, even completely isolated from the internet, you can run an agent mesh. So enterprise is always going to be there, and a very powerful option.
Awesome. Well, Matt, I know you have a few more more detailed slides on this, but we are definitely out of time. We are 8 minutes over, and I don't want to keep people waiting. Thank you to everybody for all of the questions that you've put on there. Again, LinkedIn, Tamimi, myself, Matt, we're all on LinkedIn. Head over to Solace Community. That's another great place to find us and connect with us. I guess leaving comments on YouTube videos, it kind of works, but it's not as good as just DMing us. So, Matt, I'm going to remove that for a second, and I think we're done. Is there any? Thank you both for joining and presenting this today, and I hope everybody out there enjoyed it. Any last words before we wrap?
Well, if you have any questions, I'm available in the Solace Community Forum. So head to Solace Community, and we have you can see in the link down below, we have a section for Solace Agent Mesh if you have any questions there. And as Aaron mentioned, reach out to us on LinkedIn, go to the GitHub repo, star the repo right now.
Star the repo.
And that's all I have. So thanks for everybody on the call.
Thanks, Amy.
Yeah, any last words?
Matt?
No, it's been great being on and sharing exciting stuff we're doing with Agent Mesh.
Fantastic.
So look forward to the next one.
All right. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Happy holidays. Happy end of year. We'll see you back in 2026, January. I don't know what my topic's going to be yet, but have a great break if you're having one. And if not, well, too bad. All right. Thanks, guys. See you later, everybody. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care.